everyone, and welcome to week 4, middle of the course. When you're done with this week, 4 more weeks to go, and you've completed perspectives in the social sciences. All right, so for this week, you only have 2 assignments due, but one of them is a biggie, pulling together a lot of the work you've been doing in the previous 3 weeks. So the first assignment you have due this week is a discussion reply. So last week you posted about how those ads that you picked made you feel. What emotions did they draw out in you? How did they appeal to you for who you are? Why did you choose them? This week, you're going to need to reply to a classmate thinking about how could bias make someone see these ads differently. And remember, we talked about 2 different kinds of bias. Implicit bias, biases that people aren't themselves consciously aware of. And then explicit biases, when you actually, you have a negative feeling about someone or something. So consider both those biases, and please, I like to read whatever you have to write. However, I grade you on how well you respond to the prompt. So please respond directly and clearly to the prompt, answering the question the best you can, so I can give you all the points you deserve. Okay, the second project is your observation journal. And here, as I said, you're going to be pulling together a lot of the work that we've already done. You should be able to, cut and paste, draw from a lot of your original assignments. So there shouldn't be too much kind of original work to do, more a project of synthesis and refining. So you're going to be using the same 4 ads we've been using the whole time. And, the first question is, why did you choose this ad? And you've answered that before. Your discussion post from last week will help you with that one. And then you have 5 questions talking about assumptions made and observations from the about the ads, and you have a whole comparison template to draw from for that. The first couple of questions are about what audience are they targeting, what's their message, and then there's a question towards number 5 is it effective? Is their appeal effective? And this is something that a lot of people were kind of dying to answer from the beginning, something that kind of sticks out to us in our very consumer-aware environment in the United States. So, go to town, write your observations there. A lot of people said a lot of interesting things, sometimes not for the right assignment, but here you can say it. And secondly, so you've got that part about the marketing. And then the other part needs to be, what we were going for in the comparison template draft and the comparison template. Just looking at what's actually happening in the ads, not as if they are ads. You need to be looking at them as if they are just kind of records of what seems normal to us in our culture. So you'll need to answer 2 questions about that. What kind of relationships do you observe in the ads? You're going to be using all 4. And then also, what relationship with the product or service are people are going on in the ad. All right, and then finally, then you've got a couple more. Next one is, what topics so far have we covered that can you relate to your observations and assumptions about these ads? And this is actually where a lot of students get tripped up. So this is going to take a little bit of a review, going back over previous modules, and maybe you've kept in mind what topics we've covered that seem to apply to these observations, but it's probably a good idea to go back to 1, 2, and 3 of the modules and see what relevance can you find with the course material that we've covered. So just to kind of get you started, we've talked a lot about bias and talked about how bias can confirm stereotypes, a couple different effects. We have the halo effect and confirmation effect, or confirmation bias. So go back, review, remind yourselves what those things are. You might find those concepts helpful. And then we talked about the effects of bias. They gave some, you read some articles about how race and gender, they're not just kind of abstract sociological questions. They have real impacts in life, the effect of bias. And then just recently in Module 3, we talked about social roles and how these are constructed, the different agents of socialization. So we got school, work, media, peers, etc. Did those ideas, can you relate them at all to any of what you observed in the ads? All right, and then finally, you have you need to ask a social scientific question. And remember, this is not about asking about marketing strategy, although Some social scientists do work for companies and something that but then they become marketers. We're trying to stick with questions that could solve some kind of problem, increase our knowledge about society. You can ask about the effects of media in general, but even then I'd be a little wary of that just because I think it might be easy to fall into asking too specific questions about the marketing strategy. Try to think of a question. Remember, it doesn't need to be too tightly linked to the ad. It can be linked to the themes that were brought up. So racism, gender stereotypes, relationships, families, has more to do with the themes than it does with the particular effects of the ads. All right, so hopefully that's given you something to build off of for this week. And I will talk to you soon.